with Mr. Urban Dolor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Urban Dolor, and I'm sitting in for Calix George Jr. And you are in the lunchroom. As always, I give you the 4 principles that guide my discussion so that we all can know where I'm coming from. Number one, I make the point that nothing is absolute. Number two, I say that reality is composed by the individual. Number three, cultural influences more often than not determine our actions and our reactions. And finally, I say that the supernatural does not exist. As is customary, we continue on to talk about today in history, what some of the important things that happened on February 24th during the past. Let us start with 1797, when William Taylor, colonel, and his forces of almost 1,500 persons surrendered after the last invasion of Britain. It is said that they actually surrendered to Welsh women who were actually in tall hats, and they were mistaken for an elite guard regiment. In 1866, sorry, let me say it was 1868. I'm a little nervous, because I don't have my regular person. In 1868, the United States House of Representatives voted 126 to 47 to impeach President Andrew Johnson. Of course, that had to go on to the Senate to be decided, and Andrew Johnson was not convicted by the Senate. The Senate was one vote short of the 60% required to find him guilty. Since then, there have been two other presidents who have been impeached, President Clinton and President Trump, who was, of course, impeached twice. In 1906, on this date, Thomas Estrada Palmer defeated Jose Gomez in the election for the president of Cuba, but Gomez and his followers refused to accept the results and sponsored an uprising. So, folks, these things happen, and it doesn't only happen once, it happens time and time again. On this date, 24th of February in 1966, there was a military coup which ousted President Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. In 1979, the highest price ever was paid for a pig, $42,500 US for one pig. In 1996, Cuba shot down 2 US planes. In 1998, Elton John was knighted by Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace. In 2008, Fidel Castro retired as the president of Cuba due to ill health after nearly 50 years of being the president. And in 2010, Sachin Tendulkar scored the first double century in one-day international cricket. So these were some of the events that happened on this date, 24th of February, in the past. We will now go to the Daily Dish, which is sponsored by Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
The Daily Dish, which is today we're going to talk about hegemonic masculinity. Hegemonic masculinity is defined as a practice that legitimizes men's dominant position in society and justifies the subordination of the remaining male population and women. Conceptually, hegemonic masculinity proposes to explain how and why men maintain dominant social roles over women and other gender identities which are perceived as quote unquote feminine in a given society. Some effects of hegemonic masculinity includes the fact that we have social upheavals. We also have a situation where men's health are being is being adversely affected. We know as well that marginalized, non-conforming, sorry, non-conforming individuals are marginalized. And again, I'm saying that these are some of the effects of hegemonic masculinity, which I have already defined. There's economic disparities, violence and aggression, barriers to gender equality and initiatives, and there is also a very serious educational impact, which is a direct result of hegemonic masculinity. Let me just again just say to you what is hegemonic masculinity. Hegemonic masculinity is a situation where men continue to have a dominant position in society. And so hegemonic masculinity attempts to define that subordination. Therefore, we know that hegemonic masculinity is used to explain how and why men maintain dominant roles over women. Hegemonic masculinity. And that was your daily dish.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Well, having heard the daily dish for the day, I have my guest smiling. And you will hear her laughing in a while. Carmen Silis, welcome. I don't think I could have a better person.
Thank you, Mr. Dolor.
How you like that? How you like
Thank you for
about
inviting me.
how you like what we said about hegemonic masculinity? What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on it is it's the general reflection of societies, whether it be St. Lucia or everywhere else. I think the even men who do not have means have the same mental outlook, and they feel that they are entitled, whether they can support you, whether they cannot support you, whether they have money, whether they don't have any money. They feel they're still powerful and have power over women and people who are they perceive as less powerful than they are.
Less masculine than they are.
Yes.
And so that is why all other genders, let's use the term genders, are they're almost terrorized by some hegemonic men, by alpha males, they call them sometimes. Dominant males is another term that is used. Yeah, go ahead.
And these are one of the things that create the situation where we have in St. Lucia. You have men who are dominant and feel they are entitled. They not only try to suppress women, they try to suppress men. They use that power to coerce young boys into all kinds of adverse behavior. And that is why we have so many young people involved in crime, involved in serious crimes, involved in many things. Men use power over everybody once they are allowed to.
So you think you said that that they coerce young people. Is that they coerce young men? Or they coerce young women as well?
Young men. They coerce young women maybe in a different way. We have a situation in St. Lucia where you have a proliferation of of children, 11 to 13, 14, who are sexually abused, who are assaulted, who are raped, who get pregnant, who make babies. And we treat it now as if it is standard operating procedure and it's not an outcry. It is for me. And I am always very disturbed when these situations come by for us. So, and at every turn, is a man who feel that they can exert power over another human being that has created this situation, whether it's coercing a young man to commit crime, coercing a young woman into a sexual relationship they're not ready and be pregnant, and a number of other things.
So when you say for us, I take it you mean the non-profit that you sort of associated with, which is Raise Your Voices St. Lucia Inc. Am I correct?
Yes, Raise Your Voice and Lucia Incorporated.
Incorporated,
Mhm.
not Inc. Incorporated.
For short, here. So we have found ourselves in a unique position that we see the underbelly of what we don't want to know and what we don't want to see in St. Lucia. So when we speak about the prevailing situation in communities about young boys being influenced into crime, young girls being coerced into sexual relationship they're not ready for. So young people with children cannot manage their children because they themselves were not given the right social skills from the grandmother to the mother to the child. So this continues to go in a cycle. We say poverty is a cycle. Domestic violence is also a cycle. Being entrenched in this kind of behavior is also a cycle because you do not get out of the blue a family that has been properly socialized. Out of the blue, you have somebody showing those kinds of adverse behavior. The adverse behavior comes down the line, and it is something that must be looked at.
But one of the things that we hear is that men are in crisis. What's your take on that?
Men are in crisis. I don't know if men are in crisis because to me, men cause crisis. And that is, I was raised in a home with a mother and my siblings. We didn't have men in my house. So my socialization came from my mother and my older sisters. So when my mother was not there, my older sister was in charge. And I don't know people who are socialized like you have your father. You tell your mother, I am going to church. Your mother telling you ask your father. I don't know that. When you tell your mother, ask your mother for something, your mother telling you, ask your father. Your mother cook food and your father getting the biggest piece of fish, the best gravy, and then you get yours after. I don't know that. We were socialized like my mother cook food, all her children get their food one time. She will eat her food last because she feels that she's responsible for making sure her children are okay. So I am raised the same way. I do not feel that I need to be behaving like I am a maid in a house because I live with somebody. I do what I feel I want to do. I do I respect you. I will not do things that will cause you harm, but I will also not be your housekeeper. I will not be your servant. I'll not be your maid. I I don't do that because I was not socialized like that. And socialization is at the core of who you are.
Okay.
Because if you raise in a house and everything, your mother cannot make decisions, your father cannot make decisions, it's a back and forth. You have the same issues. But what we do in St. Lucia, we continue to say that, oh, father's missing, that's what causing the problem. But in the people who are born in the 1960s, and their mother is making children with people who are married and making children with people who did not reside with them. They raise their children. I don't see their children killing people and going to jail. All their children are these people who are the ministers of today, who are the head teachers of today, who are the managers of today, and who are the stable people in this society. So there is a prevailing wind that fathers are missing and that's why a single mother household is the problem. No, single mother household is not the problem. What is the problem is that person was not raised properly, so they can't raise children. People come to me for 8-year-old and say, I don't know what to do with them. They're not listening. They're not doing. I'm like, what did you do? What did you do to cause that? Because you would have had to do something as you're raising a child. If you raise a child properly, the child will be guided by that. You find people between 2-3 years, everything their children do is funny. They laugh, kiki, they don't straighten them up. If you are not straightening up a child by the time they a year going into that time, you've lost the plot. I learned that very early when I had my daughter. I bathe her, I feed her, I put her to sleep because I am doing something and she gets up and she crying. She have nothing. She on her bed is nice. And I'm like, so what's the problem? And I decided that was going to prevail. So I put my foot down And she used to sleep. I used to breastfeed her, go to work, come back and feed her during lunch. And when she understood that this was not going to happen. You have to be able to make sure children understand who is in charge, and children are not reversing roles on you and behaving as if they as the mother and they in charge and telling you what they want and doing what they want, and you just there kiki as if that's a joke.
Let me put something to you, Catherine. I'll call you Catherine. But isn't that question of being dominant in a sense part of the problem, because then the children do not have the opportunity to become assertive. And I want to make the difference between assertive and aggressive. We don't want aggressive. For me, but nowadays I hear people talking about aggressive marketing, and I don't like the word aggressive because I believe that aggressive
donate something bad.
Yes, to me,
in our culture, it is.
From when I grew up, and aggressive to me is that you denying somebody their rights.
Their rights, yes.
Assertive, on the other hand, for me is me agitating, sort of arguing for my rights and for other people's rights. Yeah, so I'm making a difference. I'm wondering to what extent we have not encouraged children to be assertive, and that is why they have to retaliate and become aggressive.
But who taught their mothers to be assertive?
Well, you make the point, and I'm agreeing with you because
who taught them to be assertive?
Let me make a point that I agree with you so much that remember. Well, you may not remember, but one of the things I said very early, and that's one of the four pillars that determine the way I interact with people, is that culture determines how you react and how you act. And when you speak about the intergenerational deficits in social skills, to my mind, that is smack on and relates to the culture we're talking about. Yeah, because after all, at the end of it all, the way what happens in the home, right, it must be a significant part of your culture. It is a significant part
because that's where you get your foundation from.
It's
just like if you go to preschool and for the 4 years and for the 2-3 years you're in preschool, they don't teach you to recognize colors, recognize letters. When you get to grade 1 kindergarten, you will know it.
Yes.
So your mother, your father, whoever is raising you from 0 to 2 have to begin to lay the foundation, what is acceptable. So I have my little teaware there. You cannot just take my glass and throw it and break it.
So a lot of people don't know what's a teaware. Tell us what's a teaware.
My cabinet.
Yeah.
My mother had one of those, and that was like a cathedral in the house. You couldn't pass by it.
Yes.
Because you would break her stuff.
Yes.
So very early we understood that was sacred ground.
Sacrosanct.
Yes. The only time you go in there is when you're washing everything and put it to dry and put it back.
Yes. So when strangers come.
Yes. And not all strangers.
Not all strangers.
Not all strangers. Yes. The stranger had to be pretty special for my mother to open her teaware and give you water with a crystal glass.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Not ordinary people just come in and think. You have to come from England, come from somewhere.
Yes.
So you have to understand that this is not something you just take and break. This is not something you just decide you're going to jump on. This is something that you respect. And we don't have that anymore. We think children can do what they want. They cannot. My mother would not beat you, but by the time my mother look at you, business not right there. You have to straighten up yourself.
But let me tell you, you make such a good point. Here's what you said: your mother didn't beat you. But girlfriend, in the past, parents used to just beat children for almost anything. Eh?
My mother would beat you, but my mother would not beat you for anything. My mother would have had to have reason to beat you.
Yeah.
What my mother knew was just look at you, and your business is not good, so you need to straighten up whatever it is you're doing. Nowadays, I see children, the mother talking to them and asking them a question. They shaking themselves, they humming under their breath, they walking away, they talking back to their mother. If I tried that, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I would not be here talking to you.
Yes.
I wouldn't, because I cannot understand how people are raising children and they cannot speak to children at 8 years and they tell you, I don't know what to do with him. ID Boys Training Center, ID Social Services. Nowadays, Boys Training Center, say a hotel. They don't understand. And never mind all the advocacy we do, they still think boy training center is a suitable place to send their child, and their child will come out shining and smiling. They don't understand these things. And people now behave as if my child is if I get my child vexed, my child is going to hate me and my child is not going to talk to me. And I telling you straight, I have my friends, you are not my friend, you are my child. I not dressing same with you, and I not liming with you. You liming with your friends, I lime with my friends. And we all have our boundaries. So that business, people are afraid that and get vexed with them. I want you to be vexed with me, because if you get vexed with me, that means I'm not going to play with you. But and it's a serious and sad situation, because we have too many children fallen by the wayside, not because their mother not giving them all the food they need, all the stuff they need. I see people buying bags for $300 and $400 for children to go to school. Now with me, I looking at what you're learning in school. How are your grades coming? That will determine the level of expense. Because see, if you are going to fail all your tests, is when you leave school, what you're going to be able to work for steak? No, you're working for chicken back. You're eating chicken back because you ain't ready yet.
So for you,
yes, for me, it is about effort.
Okay.
You see that business, everybody busy, children graduating from preschool, infant school, primary school, secondary school thing. My 2 children graduate from university.
That's the only
because we finish, we celebrated.
Okay.
I would rather give my children an experience, like send them on vacation or do something, than to pay for graduation. I see people do that all the time. I don't know, why do people do that? I see small children going to preschool. They have a bag on their back and a thing. They buy how much money? I'm like, I don't spend my money in that. They keep in the books there. We have to choose as parents, as single parents, because they like to brand us as single parents, what is important and what's not important. Where you can save that money for something important, and where you spend that money because you feel it's important. There's no reason why a preschool child have a bag and a lunch bag that matching, because the preschool provides stuff. We don't make good decisions, and we don't like to listen. We don't like to take advice. We like to say, oh, the people don't understand. They like to think because today you can sit and you can speak and you can help somebody else, whereas no. We were raised in a 2-bedroom house. My mother made 15 children. 12 of them survived. I'm the last girl. And my mother was like 95 and she couldn't remember anything, and we were still respectful of her because she raised us to be respectful to her. She raised us to be respectful to all the older people, to my sisters and my brothers. And people come into me and tell me, I am talking to my sister. I don't have a relationship with my mother. I'm like, but why? Oh, my mother this, my mother that, they're not there for me. And I cannot understand how you don't have a relationship with your siblings, your parents, your family. What do you expect me to do as a stranger? It is a problem. So we move from, why do men feel they need to dominate women? But why do we have the society we have now? Is because this situation with men being disciplinarians in society and the pillar of the home and things like that has moved on to, I in charge of what I do, or nothing. So you don't do what I do, I mash up your face, I break your arm, I break your finger, I kick you, I beat you, I spit on you, I stand up in the court, I lie, I make the magistrate feel sorry, and then the women still in jeopardy. This is what we have. This is what we see as an organization. We see the issues being from the home and very systemic within the public service, the justice system, the police, the school system. It doesn't stay in the home and the community. It is within the system. So the whole system is contaminated.
Okay, so then I'm sure there are people out there who want to react to some of the things you're saying.
I'm sure they have.
Let me just give the numbers. The number you can call is 452-3046, and if you want to WhatsApp and send us a message, our WhatsApp number is 758-724-0008. But Catherine, you spoke about the BTC. Let me just put it. Let me contextualize it. Just let me see what you think of my understanding of the role of the BTC. I believe that in society, well, let me use the analogy of medicine. In medicine, you are told that you have to try and prevent getting ill in the first place. And whenever it's possible, you can get treatment. Then at the third level, when people have cancer and those kinds of things, what you have is you giving them relief. So you palliative care and so on, right? So when you look at the BTC in particular, how do you see it? Do you see it as cure? Do you see it as relief? Do you see it as preventative?
I see it as a problem. Not the concept of BTC. The concept of BTC was to have a place for boys who showed adverse behavior. So they were supposed to go there. They were supposed to be evaluated. They were supposed to be rehabilitated and reintegrated. What we have is a BTC.
Okay, we have a call coming through. Oh, the call has dropped. Okay, so
what we have is an institution that has lost its way in the sense that the people who go there do not get evaluated, they do not get rehabilitated, they do not get integrated.
Okay, so we have a call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right, go ahead, we're listening.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to Catherine. Catherine and I have always butt heads in the past, but there are some significant things which he said there today. And this is, and strange enough, the very same thing Catherine is saying here. I have said it on forums, and she and I have butted heads over that. Look, Catherine, I think from my personal standpoint, growing up in a house with a father and a mother, my father worked hard. He went out. He was into construction. He was into farming. He was into baking. Always left the money in my mother's lap. My mother was into the baking. My mother made coffee and cocoa sticks and all kind of things, sold brooms. I used to go out with her to sell. I went to St. Mary's College. When I left St. Mary's College on an afternoon, I would rush down home on the days that I don't have sports or don't stay back. Head up in the heights on the plantation with my father. Come back down 6:37, sometimes 7:30 at night. Come down. If my mother has to go by Gatey or whatever, I will go down by Gatey and Clarks with her. Sell peanuts, sell
chewing gum,
icicles, and all sorts of things, and come up together with her. My arms around her. We coming up. We chatting. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. We come home. Next morning, get up. Make sure the goats and the rabbits and thing have their food, their vines and thing for the day. The yard is clean. And I head up and I go to St. Mary's College. I grew up seeing both my mother and my father in a house. Is it safe to say, Catherine, that you are at a disadvantage not having a male figure in the house as well? To see male and figures together in unison working in a house?
Okay, I don't have to want to answer that.
I still have more to say. You know?
Oh no, go ahead, say it. No, say it so that because we want when we release Catherine that she deal with all the things you're talking about.
Yep. I have two. In fact, I have a lot of close female friends, but I have two close female friends who each have boys. One will call me up when she have issues with the son and talk to me, and I will give her the advice and that sort of thing. And then she will come back later and say, you were right there because I did that and this is what happened and this is what happened. The other one has a son the same age. That little boy doesn't do anything in the house. He doesn't look, he's not well, he doesn't do well at school. He finds excuse to stay away from getting work done. But he will sit and say, I'm pulling all the girls. And she will sit down and laugh at it. When I say to her, but look, you need to find ways to get him to do well academically. Because from everything that he is indicating. It's indicating that he can do good academically because he finds ways of escaping the work and all that kind of thing and attracting the girls. That means he has that ability. He has it. The foundation is there. You know what she will say? I don't like the boy. She will tell me I don't like the boy. Catherine, we know so many. And there is an issue there, you know. I am not saying, and I keep saying, I am not saying men are not irresponsible. But in a society where we have, over the last 2 decades, taught our women that men are just supposed to be sperm donors. Women don't need men in their life. They only need a man to give them a child, and all the rest they can do it on their own. And all that sort of thing. And even an education system, because I've been calling on my Ministry of Education to make a deliberate decision in awarding scholarships. Think of at least 40% of your scholarships to male. If you want to make good males, make a very good male population, you have to learn to give more. Because the young men feel intimidated. We know normally and naturally the system that we have, women learn better than men, and they will pick it up better than men because of the design of our system.
Okay.
Men are supposed to be more interactive.
Okay. The point you're making is interesting as it relates to the education. In addition to that, let me say to you that I hope you get the line again sometime, because we will have, and we did have an educator on Friday. We'll have an educator again on Friday coming. And so you may want to look at it at that point.
Okay,
however,
let me just close.
Okay, close, because we have to go to to news for the weather, and so yeah, go ahead, make your point.
All of those things are frustrating and causing young men, including the way the mothers raise them, to turn to that type of life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So, Catherine, we are due for the weather in a while, but let me let you respond.
First of,
Take your time.
first of all, I cannot relate to things that I have not been exposed to. I explained very early that I was raised by a woman.
Yes.
With my brothers and my sisters. So I don't have the experience of having a man so that I miss, so as if, and he die and he leave.
Yeah.
And then I miss the influence of men.
Right.
I raised 2 children and an adopted child,
Yes.
and I raised them on my own, and they're fine, because I don't believe that if you provide what a child needs and an environment for a child to thrive, that they're missing a half of somebody they never had.
Right,
this is impossible.
You can't miss something you never had. But hold your point, because we want to go to the weather. We'll take the weather. We have a couple of calls coming through, but caller, we will take you after the weather, so you'll call back.
Thank you, Mr. Dolor. We now take a look at the latest weather report, and it is, of course, made possible with the compliments of Island Style Thailand Bath.
Island Style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island Style. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have cans and princess, mixes and brown. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewport Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style. This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454. This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the Weather News.
Certainly. Let's now take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today, for the 24th of February, 2025. The forecast of this hour is in the Miel O'Shaughnessy. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing between the east, southeast, and the east near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy at times with some light to moderate showers. So that's winds blowing between the east, southeast, and the east near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. With the weather partly cloudy at times with some light to moderate showers. Our marine forecast foresees in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. High tide presently being experienced at both the Castries Harbor and the Vieux Bay. The low tide for the Castries Harbor will be at 3 minutes after 8 tonight, and for the Vieux Bay, low tide will be at 9:30 tonight. The seas are moderate to locally rough with waves and easterly swells, 5 to 8 feet, the same as 1.5 to 2.4 meters in open waters. Small craft operators and sea bathers, you are advised to exercise caution, and that is due to rough seas. Now, please be guided accordingly. Let's move now to the forecast for the Lesser Antilles. It's partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some scattered showers over the Windward Islands. Elsewhere will be fair. Fair skies will basically prevail. Now the weather summary. Unstable conditions associated with a low-level trough will continue to cause some cloudy periods with scattered showers mainly over the Windward Islands during the forecast period. And the Atlantic high-pressure system will continue to generate moderate easterly winds and locally rough seas across the Eastern Caribbean during the next few days. So again, unstable conditions associated with a low-level trough will continue to cause some cloudy periods with scattered showers, mainly over the Windward Islands during the forecast period. And the Atlantic high-pressure system will continue to generate moderate easterly winds and locally rough seas across the Eastern Caribbean during the next few days. Again, a reminder that small craft operators and sea bathers, you are advised to exercise caution due to rough seas. And that is the official weather report at this time. Our next official report from the Met Service is due on the station at around 7 in the morning, so please tune in then. Thank you, Lemuel, for the update. At this time, the weather was made possible with the compliments of Island Style, Tile, and Bath.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and king sets, mixes and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus and Rodney Bay on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
Good afternoon again. Welcome back to the lunchroom. I'm Urban Dolor and I'm sitting in for Calix George Jr. I have with me Catherine Seelys, who is obviously in charge of Raise Your Voice and Lucia Inc. Incorporated, to be full. Of course, the numbers to call here are 452-3046, and you can reach us on WhatsApp at 758-724-008. Catherine, before we took a pause for the weather, you wanted to speak on some issues that were raised, and in particular the one that relates to the fact to what a caller suggested that that men are not doing well because they're missing the father figure in the house. Your reaction?
My mother had 7 boys; they were all doing well.
Yes.
So I don't know about that. I think that is an imported culture, and I see it playing out within the Department of Human Services. I see it playing out in the family court. We go to the family court. A woman goes to the family court. They go to the Department of Human Services to complain about the behavior of a man, or a man goes to complain that woman is not letting me see my child, and without picking up themselves and going to see under what conditions these people are living. How are the dynamics in this home, in this family, in this space? They demand that a woman must send their child to this place for the weekend, which is totally against the law. Because there is something they call an affiliation act. The affiliation act speaks about people who have children out of marriage. They call it affiliation. I guess it's a legal term. The mother is the sole custodian of this child because the Catholic Church, who influence the laws of St. Lucia, the civil code and whatnot, felt that women were not supposed to have children outside of marriage.
Okay.
So if you have a child out of a marriage or a woman, that's your problem. The child is yours to take care of and to do something. The man not responsible because man helped Catholic Church write that. Yes. So if you have a child out of marriage, to date, the child is the responsibility of the mother, and the mother has sole custody of this child by law. I didn't write it, that's what it is. The family court and the Department of Human Services continue to make decisions that are against the same laws they put them there to uphold. What they do, they demand and even make single mothers sign agreement that is illegal to say you have to send child to the father. They have not picked up themselves to go and see where that child going, because you know why they continue to do that? Because we sit by and we allow children like Milan Ferdinand to die, and everybody stealing their job and people getting their pension. So there was no accountability, so we continue to do the same thing. Never mind, we have had bad experiences. So when people say boys not doing well because their father, science and research has shown that children are attached to their biological mothers because by virtue of biology, they say the cells of the child remains in the woman's brain until she dies. There is something they call attachment. The attachment is always to mother. Because for as long as I'm alive, they have more women that have children with men that not staying with them than people that are married and living together.
You have statistics for that, Catherine?
My statistics is my experience.
Okay, right. Okay.
In our community, 80%, if not more, of the women had their children and was raising their children by themselves, with the exception of the few that was married or were living together. And I continue to say the fact that we want to demand women have to be in a relationship with men to raise children properly is an imported cultural context, and that is why it is not working. It is not working because if you're not compatible in a relationship, there is nothing compatible to raise no child well, child not raising well. We see that all the time between mother and father, and it's so bad that grandmothers have to come in and take child to see if child can be a better person. So there is no uniform about who is best, who is not best, and what is best, what is not best. My children, father and I could have stayed together, and myself and my children traumatized for life. But you know me, by virtue of just me being born, I just rebellious. So when I realized that man was not serious, I pick up my two children, I go about my business, I never look back. Everybody cannot do the same that I did. But I am somebody, I just think of what I eat after I finish do what I have to do. I doesn't think of where I eating, how I eating. I don't do that. When I make a decision, I make a decision. Bad, good, or indifferent, I own my decision and I move on. So everybody's not like that. But we want to make sure we dig in our heels and say because men not in the house. We have men in the house who break women arm, who break their jaw, who break their nose, who break their finger, who try to kill them, who try to drive over them, who try to chop them with cutlass. So what you're saying, they should stay there because they need a man figure in the house? No, men need to tell men be better people so that people can coexist with them. That's what they need to do.
So you spoke a bit, and you were saying something about the BTC. And I really want to go back to that because some people think that the BTC is not playing the role that it's supposed to play.
BTC should be closed down a long time ago, but I know from my interactions that the government of St. Lucia under the Philippine administration is seriously looking at it and relocating it and revamping the whole structure. What they cannot do is put the same people to manage it. Because you can do all what you do there and you have the same people there, you're going to have the same problem. BTC intention was young boys who are showing adverse behavior, are in conflict with the law, have a place to be rehabilitated and reintegrated. We do not have rehabilitation going on. I don't know what they do, because as soon as they come from BTCs, either they go back or they go to body lane when they're 18. They get into gangs, they get killed, they kill people. And if you were to carry out just this research, you realize that a lot of the young people who have died, who are showing adverse behavior, who are on remand, who are committing crime, went through social services and BTC. And I say that without any fear of contradiction.
But very recently, last week, it was the person who is managing BTC said that perhaps the BTC is getting a bad name.
BTC not getting no bad name. BTC don't have no bad name. BTC has the people who have worked at BTC and who are responsible for rehabilitating those children have done a terrible job. And it's not because they're there working and they want to keep their salary, they're saying that. And I am saying that. I have been saying that for the last 10 years. And if they had any pride, they would have sit and put a proper rehabilitation plan. When people leave BTC, they put them out on the street. The BTC Act is clear. You have to put this child in a house, pay the rent, and monitor them for at least a year. They don't do that. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, so you think that that there's need to allocate some resources?
No, they need to fire everybody that day. We're tired of trying to fix what we cannot fix. You cannot fix BTC. You have to start from scratch.
But I thought you were saying that they had to put them in house for a year and so on. But when are they going to do that if they don't have the resources?
No, they need better people.
Okay.
Let me tell you that.
Seem to have given that some
my
thought.
work, no, I say that from experience, from what I see coming under my hand. In my work, a woman comes to us and say the kind of abuse and things she goes through a man, and we're taking the informations because we want to know how we can help her and stuff. And then she say, he working at BTC. You working at BTC and you're abusive to your wife and your children? So what kind of individual? So you don't think the government of St. Lucia have a responsibility to make sure they do background checks on people they send in and work with children who have adverse behavior already? No, they need to do that. And they have terrible people in that service. And I continue to say that. If they feel they're not terrible, come and see.
So how do you see your organization playing a proactive? In other words, instead of doing the curing and the relief, how does your organization contribute towards the preventative?
My organization was not built to fix government issues. Huh?
No.
My organization was created first to do, in the first place, advocacy, because social services, including BTC, were so terrible. And the experiences of people who went through the system, they used to come and complain to us. That was on the premise in which that organization was built. When we had been in the wilderness, quarreling and marching for 5 years, we decided, okay, we're going to put in support services to see how we can help the people who come to us. And I can tell you, if a child, for example, you have a child and you home struggling with the child and you brought the child to us and say, this child, we are struggling with that child, we need you to talk to her. It is easier for us to rehabilitate that child. If that child passed through social services or BTC, it's taking 1,000 men years to rehabilitate that child.
But Gavin, by your own admission, your organization has not been as successful as should be. Let me tell you why. Because you just told me that it was supposed to be.
No, that is not our.
Let me finish. You said that it was supposed to be for advocacy.
Yes.
So if it was successful, why is it that they have not been changed to the system?
No.
And you keep telling me it has been systemic.
Advocacy for the government of St. Lucia and the people who run the social services. And let me make it clear.
Yes.
You have the Ministry of Social Justice, which is empowerment and equity. I think I may have the nomenclature mix up.
Doesn't matter. Go ahead. We understand.
Then under that, you have the Department of Human Services. You have the Boys Training Center. You have the New Beginning Children's Home. You have the Uptown Gardens Girls Center. And then they have oversight over a home they call the Rainbow Home in Viewfort. The homes the nuns have. They also have oversight on the elderly care homes in St. Lucia.
Mm.
So they are responsible for vulnerable population, children, elderly.
Yes.
If you have small children and you go for help, yes, but they're not responsible for, people who can take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is their job. Our work is to advocate initially so that they can improve the quality of service delivery to the public. When we realized we were going to die advocating, and public servants were just vexed because they felt we were exposing them, we were trying to make them look bad. In every country, when you advocate against something, people sit together, they plan, they put a plan in place, they say, let us do better. In St. Lucia, they can't see you. They try and dig up information about you. I tell them I know all my sins, all. And if they want me to list, I write in a book.
You mean it's so many sins to take a book?
Yes. They try to make sure if you as a small business person, you're trying to do business with the system, they will block you. They will sit and plan how they will try and affect your life, how they will sabotage you. But I tell them already, anything I want, I just ask the universe, and I get it. That's what they do. Instead of sitting down and say, okay, she said that we may not be happy, but let us look at the situation and let us see how we can improve this service delivery. They don't do that.
But in terms of interacting with public, government that is, and private business places and so on, how does your organization, meaning the Raise Your Voices St. Lucia Inc., how do you interact with these people? What level, what's the quality of interaction with them?
If I need to interact with any government department, I either do it in person, by correspondence, or any other way. I don't really care how they feel. They are there to serve the public. So if I need to interact with them, I interact with them. Private sector in St. Lucia does not, with the exception of maybe a few, does not have a mandate to work with non-profit, unless, of course, the staff or somebody they know need the services you provide to send. They don't make allocation, they don't make space, they don't do anything. We participate in meetings, they put us on committee, we participate in providing information sometimes they have surveys, sometimes they need information, anything. I can tell you that if the social service are taking our advice, we would be the best social service in St. Lucia. They don't. They feel you have a problem with them because you are complaining. Public servants must stop owning public service, not yours. You are serving. Serve impartially, do your job, and make sure it's done well.
Just don't forget that the number to call is 452-3046, and if you want to do the WhatsApp platform, it is 758-724-0008. But Catherine, you have a big event coming up on the 8th of March. You want to tell us a little bit about it, because that's Women's Day, is it?
Yes, it's International Women's Day.
Smile, boy. You're smiling.
We do this event because we do not get funding locally.
You don't?
We don't. So we do this event, and that is by this event St. Lucians contribute.
Okay.
Because we serve St. Lucians. We don't serve. The only time we may serve somebody, coming out if somebody is a human trafficking victim, or they end up in St. Lucia with a man and things go south. We serve St. Lucians. We do not get funding from St. Lucia, neither the government of St. Lucia or anybody else. So this is our way of creating a space so that St. Lucians can contribute to the work that we do. And the work that we do takes in a lot of money, because if somebody comes to me and they don't have a place to stay because the person they live in
and that somebody could be a man, right?
Could be a man. We have had a couple. If they come to me and the person say, the place I'm staying, the person is abusive, I need to move. I have children, I don't have food. I want to be able to find a place for you and help you for at least 6 months. I want to be able to make sure you have food. I want to make sure the utilities are paid. I want to make sure you have access to the counselor. I want to make sure I can assist you and prepare you so that you can get a job. If you need to get legal aid, I make sure I can call the lawyer and then I can pay the lawyer. So that is what we do with money we raise. Now that debacle that has happened in the USD has created a vacuum for us. So now we have to re-strategize.
No, just to be sure that the debacle she's talking about, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this whole matter with USAID and so on?
Yes. While we did not get direct USAID funding, we got funding from Inter-American Foundation, and we got funding. It was USAID funding, but it came from another organization out of the US. So we had to stop that project midstream because they say, stop everything, we cannot continue and what like that. So now we have to be a little more strategic that we raise more money locally, because I don't think for the next 4 years we're going to have access to the funding we used to have to be able to pay rent, pay lawyer, pay the counselor, buy food, pay medical, and medical is something we pay a lot of money on. And I want to say to the management of OKU that always behaving as if you cannot tell them do a procedure for somebody and then you will settle the bill later, and they behaving as if he's an alien that come out of nowhere and ask for a favor. But I'm going to take that up with the Ministry of Health, because I cannot understand when a woman has been through a domestic violence situation, how is it possible that the hospital is saying we cannot do the surgery until you pay upfront? And even when we guarantee that we will come and pay after you finish, just give us the bill, we'll do it. There's still resistance.
Okay, so is there some sort of possibility of a memorandum of understanding with OKEU to deal with matters like that? Because clearly, if people if you have the funds and people need the operations or the procedures, why should that be a difficulty?
I want to say that the Ministry of Health through Moses Jabatis and the Prime Minister of St. Lucia has created a situation where we are halfway into universal health.
Okay.
They have invested a lot of money in cancer detection, in pre and postnatal, in everything. But the people, snake bites too. But the people within the system insist on creating bottlenecks within the system for St. Lucians. And that is why sometimes there is dissatisfaction, because yes, the Prime Minister has announced it and has rolled out a program. Yes, the Mr. Jabatis has rolled out the program, but when you go, the people within that system tell you a completely different story, as if what you hear and what you see on that video is totally not that.
But is it possible that the politicians may make these announcements, but the funding is not there?
The funding there. The funding there. And they also look at who you are that is asking. They also make decisions that when you ask management don't know anything about. And that's not the only place. That is across the public service. We as an organization, we work with an organization out of Connecticut. It's called Americas. At every opportunity, they send us a container of medication. It goes directly to the public health system because we don't have a hospital. It goes to St. Jude's, because St. Jude's is our partner in that project. St. Jude's requisition 40% of the supplies for themselves, and 60% goes to central procurement, which is shared between the 33 health centers, the polyclinic, the hospital, and everywhere else. So we do not only complain, quarrel. We also make every opportunity to contribute. We are now working on a project to establish an IT center in one of the schools in Vieux-Fort, because we feel Vieux-Fort need this kind of thing to engage people, maybe, so that they can have access to things. We are also working with the Canadian government to do a remedial education program. It's a pilot, so we choose Vieux-Fort because we feel Vieux-Fort is a little easier. They have less schools. We contribute. So when we go to the public service and people behaving as if these people always want something, we contribute.
So it's not just talk.
No.
Okay.
We provide more support to people who need help, whether it be domestic violence, child sexual abuse, or whatever. We make sure they have housing, they have food, they have medicine, they have counseling, they have what it takes. We send their children to school. We do not say, okay, we'll do that, and then we cannot do that. Something we cannot do is housing. We sit down, we write a referral, and we request assistance from the SSDF, because we do not have, nobody gives us money to build houses or fix houses. Maybe if the person just need a one-off, maybe a few sheets of plywood, we can do that, but they don't give us money for housing. So we kind of refer people to the SSDF.
We sort of ran out of time a little bit, but I wanted you to tell me whether or not, given that when we look at hegemonic masculinity, one of the things that they speak about is the fact that men tend to have mental issues because they feel that they're not coping, because they're supposed to be the providers. Again, I'm listening to you and hearing that they shouldn't be feeling that way, but let us say they think that they're not providing in the way that they should. What kind of steps, what kind of arrangements would your organization make as it relates to the health, the mental health of men?
So let me say that the mental health of men is not our mandate. And I want to be clear, our mandate is women and children.
Okay.
But we have not turned away anybody who has come, man, woman, or child.
Okay.
We try
So-
to be as inclusive as possible.
Okay.
But I want to make the point.
So just to be sure. So this thing, raise your voice, it should be raise your voice
Raise your
for
voice.
women.
No, raise your voice is good so.
For women, St. Lucia Inc.
No,
Okay.
raise
okay.
your voice mandate is women and children because we know women come with children.
Yes. Oh yeah.
However, if men come, we serve them too. And I want to encourage men because we do not have the space. We understand the gaps in our programs.
Yeah.
Because if we were able to provide services for men and rehabilitate them, we have less domestic abuse
Yes.
issues.
And other
We
things.
do not have the resources and we do not have the space. And we are not going to do like the family court, put the abuser and the victim in the same room, and next thing the police have to peel them off each
Yeah, I
other.
can imagine.
So we want to avoid that. So we will not do that. But we want to encourage men to form an organization that provides some men. And I want to go back to the mental health issues. Both men and women have a lot of mental health issues. Women, on the other hand, will come and say and tell you, so and so.
They speak about it.
I
and
want
so on.
help.
Yeah.
You will provide a care plan for them. They will consistently come and see the counselor for their 2 sessions a week or their 1 session a week.
Yes.
They will take advice. They will take things. The men will not come.
Same way they don't go to doctor.
The men will not come.
And they will not go and get their
Because
prostate
sometimes,
examined.
in all
and so on.
honesty, when women come and explain the domestic situation home, when you really look at it, that is somebody with a mental health issue. Because normal people don't do things like that. The behavior, the attitude, the things they do, we understand that. But the counselor will say, okay, when you come in next week, tell him I say to come. They will not come. Out of the 150 people we will do, maybe 3 will come. They will not come. But post-COVID, we are seeing there is an escalated number of people with mental health issues, men, women, and children, but men are really, really affected.
Okay. So on that, in a sense, somber note, we must thank Catherine for taking time off. I mean, under some time pressures to come to speak with us today. And Catherine, I really am really happy that you came. And I had a fantastic time with you, as you can tell. And I look forward to working with you, sometime in the future, as we seek to work not only with women and children, but also with men who a lot of the men, Catherine, according to what we saw as it relates to hegemonic masculinity, a lot of the men are suffering. They're not suffering as well as obvious as the women, but a lot of the men are suffering.
Some of them are obvious.
Yes, and some of them are
if
obvious.
you understand what signs to look for, some of them are very
And some of them
obvious.
are very obvious. I agree with you on that totally. So thank you very much for being in the Lunchroom with us this afternoon. And we look forward to being with you tomorrow as we have another area of discussion.
Thank you.